Hello? Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear the background music, but I'm going to go on to the office anyways. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. All right. There's no music? Yeah, I'm having some issues here. Give me a moment. This. Oh, I know what's going on. Hold on. Is music playing now? Long as it's coming through. Yes. All right, y'all. Hello, welcome. Sorry it took me so long to get everything started. I'm gonna make a quick statement about something just because it's important, but yeah, let's do that real quick. Wow, that is very bad. Hold on. I may have to wear something else, but it's fine for now. Yeah, it's fine for now. I don't really care that much. Little bass boosted. Turn it down a little bit. That better? The yellow's a little too close to green, but it's okay. Issues? No. All right. Hello and welcome to the Captain's Table. This is the office hours. This is a live stream where I kind of answer questions from the audience. I'm going to start this off with, I understand what's going on internationally. I'm following the situation quite closely. I understand that many people who are in the Star Citizen community are from Ukraine and are trying to either flee Ukraine or in a different situation. I do not want to bring up that political situation too much on the stream. Not because it's not a serious situation, but because I do not want to make light of anything that's going on there. It is horrible. People are dying. And I don't care what your opinion is. That's the reality. And quite frankly, it's much more respectful to hope for the best, do what you can to help the people who are suffering in Ukraine, and don't make any jokes, don't do anything stupid like that, because it's just not in good faith, in good practice, good humor. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Okay, I know people can probably come in and say, "Oh, did you hear about this?" The point of me right now is for you to just enjoy yourself, listen to me talk about silly little spaceships. Okay. Let's get that out of the way right now. Good taste, thank you. Yeah. This isn't a good place for this discussion. I only know that because some people have been bringing up political discussions every so often in streams that I've been playing, and unprovoked. And I just wanted to make that very clear right now. Unless this is actually legitimately the discussion about that, then it's not. There's no point for it to be here. All right, with that being said, let's talk about probably the dumbest misconception I've ever seen from the Star Citizen community. You don't have to tell me, I don't have to trash the Redeemer. The Redeemer is trash. And there's no need for me to say any more than that. Hey, I like the Redeemer. Well, that's because you have bad taste. Every game. So, Scorpius, Daka, what you think? I think it's going to be good. I think the Scorpius is going to be up there with the Hurricane. I don't think it's going to be as good as the Hurricane, because the Hurricane just has a little bit more Daka. But for a single-player ship, effectively being able to use all of those guns from one ship, it's going to be very powerful. I think it'll be powerful in a straight line, but I don't think it'll be very powerful as a double-manned Hurricane. You don't talk about my Redeemer like that? I will. When will Star Citizen go into beta? A heat death of the universe. Hey, Wandy. Upgrade my physical rear admiral to a Redeemer. You chose poorly. Okay, so this isn't really something that's like people are like losing their minds about. This is definitely something that let me make sure this is good, because it doesn't seem like it's Just turn down over here a little bit. There we go. It's more about a misconception that I've seen with the community. So let me pull it up real quick. I'm going to pull up the actual quote. This is something, and this isn't about Morph, but it's something that Morph used that Morph, I think, misunderstood. And I've seen a lot of other people misunderstand as well. So I wanted to clear that up, because I've also talked with Jake about this on my Discord in front of everybody. It's not like Jake just told me in secret about it. It's like it's something that they actually have said before, and that's what I took it as. It's been mentioned multiple times, but not everyone is on the same kind of frequency, the same wavelength. Don't really look at everything the same way. Okay, there it is. Okay. I'll pull this over here, and we'll talk about this real quickly. Okay. So this is where people, I think, are getting misconceptions. So here we have the release view. It says, as mentioned in previous roadmap roundup, as well as this on this episode of Star Citizen Live, the core gameplay pillar has moved to focus exclusively on Squadron 42. Features developed by this team will be integrated into Squadron first, then migrated over to the Persistent Universe. This has a twofold benefit. Squadron 42 will benefit greatly from the additional resources and dedicated focus. In the Persistent Universe, we'll see features come out online online, more complete and polished state. As the process of migrating these features into the PU is finalized, we're temporarily removing the following cards. Okay, so let's look at what they said before, because that was the big one. To summarize, the core gameplay teams, actor feature, actor tech, weapon feature, and weapon content are shifting their focus to the delivery for their features to Squadron 42 first before they get released into the Persistent Universe. This has a twofold benefit. Squadron will benefit greatly from the additional resources, and the Persistent Universe will see features in a more complete state. This does, however, make an impact on the release view of the roadmap. While some features may shift, it's important to remember that you can track progress of a given feature on Progress Tracker, which will remain unchanged. All right, that is exactly what they said. I'm not going to watch the Star Citizen Live episode, but if you want to go to the roadmap roundup from February 2nd, 2022, you can see the link there, and from this one here which is from September 8th. So this is something that has gone as far back as, again, September 8th. This is from a very long time ago in terms of like the announcements, right? Multiple months. So What does this mean? Well, I've seen some people, I made this post and a lot of people said, well, CIG has not proven that they can do any of this yet, so I'm not going to trust them. That's fine. You cannot trust what CIG says. But what this didn't say is that Squadron 42 needs to be finished before anything in the gameplay team comes into the PU. What this doesn't say is that nothing in gameplay is going to be returning to the PU. Or coming into the PU this year. That's not what they said. But people seem to assume that that's what that means. What it means is something that has been happening in Squadron for multiple years, but not with the actor, with the actor feature team, the actor tech team, the weapon feature team, and the weapon content team. This has happened with the cinematics team, with the environment art team, with the lighting team, with some other props teams. Because they've been focused on Squadron 42 most. Because I've got some people are confused, like, well, weren't they already doing it? And it's like, yes, but not everything was focused on Squadron. There were still some things that were focused on Star Citizen, as far as I understand. So here's some examples of how this has happened in the past. Spacescaping. Spacescaping was first added to Squadron 42. We saw that with the implementation, with like the vertical slice of the coil, where they added like fog and other things like that. And they kind of worked through the process of making the coil look good before it was added to Star Citizen. And they also did this with the infamous carts, or trolleys. Because they added the push-pull feature in with Squadron 42. And so they're trying to figure out how they could make that work in some sort of gameplay capacity in Star Citizen. So they introduced the trolley system. It was essentially, what can we do? We already have this in Squadron. What can we do in Star Citizen with this right now? Which is what they do often. It's what the coffee is. The coffee shop is for next patch. What was I going to say? Sorry, I had to deal with someone in chat. So what this means is that CIG has done this before. Now, does this mean that Star Citizen is going to get all of these features this year? No, it doesn't mean that. Does it mean that Star Citizen is definitely not going to get these? No, it doesn't. It means that this stuff needs to be added into Squadron first and then ported to the PU. Which is what we'll hear tomorrow, because I'm sure this question will be asked to the PU team, and the PU team will say something to the effect of, those core pillar teams are building it in Squadron first, testing it, making sure it works, and once it works in Squadron, we're going to take it and bring it into the PU. But because we don't have 100% understanding of when that's going to happen, it won't necessarily happen at a specific time until we're for sure, which is why some of this stuff has to happen. Yeah, it's important to remember that the US and EU PU teams are still working on the PU. But I think it's very important. It's very important to remember this. If you are critical of CIG because of their communications issues, that's fine. Do not make the mistake of being miscommunicative on purpose, or hyperbolic, or overdramatic, because I get it. You can be emotional. You have your own problems, but it makes you look worse. If you legitimately have concerns about CIG's communication, like I do, then going off the hinge and saying Star Citizen canceled all gameplay this year doesn't help. It gets clicks, which is why you click this, because I put that in my thumbnail for that reason, because I wanted to talk with y'all who are watching this who are angry, because it doesn't help your cause if you're just going to fly off the handle and just spread lies because you're mad. It makes you look like a fool in the eyes of the community. Anybody who reads knows what this is. It's okay to be critical. It's okay to say, well, I don't think CIG can do it. That's fine. Say, I don't think CIG can do it. Don't say CIG canceled all gameplay for the year. because it's all going to Squadron. No one's necessarily angry. Chip. It's more of a miscommunication spread by bad faith rumors. Thank you, Galaxy. Fine, I'll go get a coffee. Hey, Jaybird Max. Porting will take forever, so next year anyway. It's okay to say that. It's okay to say that the porting is going to take a long time. I don't think it's going to take a long time, though. It really depends on a lot of other factors, like how complicated is it to port? That kind of thing. I think we're only getting vehicle and AI gameplay, FPS. That still leaves lots of salvage. It leaves salvage and cargo gameplay as well. What's this? What's being added with 317? Refueling. The entire refueling loop is being added with 317. And selling to shops is being added with 317. That's not insignificant. Even I can tell CIG is doing the hard yards on the back end, leaving us with not a lot to see. There is some stuff that's happening for sure, but that's actually paying off in the game. I'd argue that a lot of people who say that, oh yeah, CIG has done nothing, it just hasn't played the game recently. Maybe I'm different. Maybe I'm just built different. I'm built different. Because like I don't seem to get a lot of, frame drops or other issues. I get bugs, sure, and they're frustrating for sure. But I definitely still can see the improvement in gameplay overall and experience overall over the last year. Let me go through some of this stuff. Okay. I almost feel like the people who invest in the least get the most upset. I could be wrong, and maybe I'm the rare whale who just chills while everyone waiting my JPEG fleet. No, I think it's important to remember that the people who are vocal for like Star Citizen are the most passionate people in the game, and passionate people have their own opinions on everything, be it good or bad or helpful or unhelpful. They're going to have opinions. And you'd want those opinions, because every so often those opinions are good because they come up with ideas that can fix problems that CIG is having with simple solutions. But I also think it's not always a simple solution to say, why does CIG need to reinvent the wheel? Because, and I've been said this before, it's like, why does CIG reinvent the wheel? Why don't they just do this basic thing? And the problem is, and I've come to, this is my own kind of like thinking about it and like doing more research, nothing is simple in gaming. If you say, for instance, like I've heard somebody say, why can't we get, with DNA shavers, why can't we just get sliders? It's like, because they have to build sliders. There's no just like point and click, drag and drop into the game of sliders with DNA customization or with face customization. If they were to build sliders, they would still have to take as much work building sliders as they build the DNA system. So it's still got to be built from scratch. So if you're building from scratch, why not try something new? That's essentially CIG's attitude. If we're going to do something new anyways, let's just do it. If we're building it from the ground up anyways, let's just do something cool and see if it works. I care more about getting full persistence and hopefully the server meshing this year, maybe. I think we're definitely getting full persistence this year. I don't know about server meshing. It'll be a toss-up. Would the new models for Vandal ships be an example of Squadron 42 PU port? Yes, that'd be another example. I've been seeing a lot of, this isn't the year for Star Citizen. Like, bro, the first patch of the year is even out and you're showing, they've shown more gameplay. Chill and wait and see. To a degree. Hello, Lord of Lore. How are you this fine evening? I'm doing good. Doing good. One more day of school and I'm done. No matter what they do, I'll be here waiting. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the smartest people who play this game just don't play the game. They bought this game and left and show up every once a year. Let me sell my loot. Oh yeah, selling. Wait, selling the stores is coming in 3.17? Yes, that's been confirmed. I can't wait to go salvage somebody's entire Idris. Yeah, and the DNA update. Paul, how much do you think the cargo refactor will change the game? Dramatically. Because the cargo refactor doesn't just touch on cargo, it touches on everything you have to move in and out of vehicles, including saddlebags. I think CIG will invent a system that kind of magics saddlebags around, but I still think if you are, for instance, loading or unloading your ship, you may have a deck that you go to for refining that is just straight up. You take your saddlebags out and you drop it onto this cargo freight and hit a button and it just disappears somewhere. Which is why the refinery decks exist in the first place. It wouldn't be too hard to slap a hanger on the exterior of a refinery and just add a door. Thoughts on how CIG did the free fly event? I thought it did pretty well. CIG was pretty smart when they're doing the free fly stuff, especially when they added like Jump Town to it to try to give people the bigger flavor of what's going on. Guess what refueling and selling shops don't count as features because they proved my point wrong. I thought those were features pumped out for 318 refuel. No, 317 is getting refueling. Mining Gadgets is coming in 317. I think so. I think they are. Yes. Hello, 89. So basically, relax, have a beer, and let the dulcet tones of Professor Shelley lull you into a state of Star Citizen bliss. Yes. While you salvage that Idris, I'll be coming at you ramming speed with a javelin. There we go. I love the idea of refueling, but without any other systems, who will even will we even notice? Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a novelty, but I don't think it'll matter that much. I never get 30Ks. I get falling through planets and invisible objects. Yeah, and Area 18 is finally getting a digital Starbucks. Hey, like this may be old man Paul talking, but I remember when the fact that you could fill up a coffee cup in Area 18, in some of the habs in Area 18, was like mind-blowing gameplay for Star Citizen. When you luckily rolled that coffee cup and you pushed the button and it filled your coffee cup full of coffee, you were just like, fuck yes, this is the future, man. I look very sharp. Thank you, Steve. I look also very invisible because yellow doesn't go well with green screens. It's going to take me a week to set up after 317 launch, though. Yeah, it's going to be a while. White Knights and Dark Knights are the vocal majority. No, White Knights and Dark Knights are the vocal minority. Why a week? What do you mean, why a week? No, there's such thing as there is such thing as overcomplicating. There is. I don't think CIG overcomplicates things necessarily. I think they definitely try to go, as Chris Roberts says, go for sim and pull it back. Can't wait for the return of the jaggy geometry. Ooh, loving it. Actually looking forward to the new character customization. We definitely need more in that regard. I'm glad that we have eyebrows now. That's a step forward. Though the whole what eyeball thing. Hey, Space Moon, how you doing, buddy? I'm kind of catching up with all this stuff. On a rare serious note, thank you, Paul, for your supporting this venture and doing your best to cover all the ins and outs while keeping it professional. Good work, my man. I am not professional. I am semi-professional at best. But thank you. I try to do my best. CIG is building their tools. The real money for CIG is to license the game tech engine. I don't think they'll do that. I think that's one of those things that I think is oftenly spread around, but it really depends on Amazon's own situation. I think if Amazon just abandons Lumberyard, then CIG might buy it from them so that they can have the licenses and then just sell it out there, because I think CIG would be in a better position to essentially be Crytek 2.0 than Crytek is. Just my mic. Just because they get inspiration from other games, movies, doesn't mean they don't manifest code for it. Exactly. Am I graduating? No. I look fresh. Thank you, Steve. But I believe Squadron 42 will be finished by the end of the year. No. Anyone who's telling you that Squadron 42 is going to be done by the end of the year is selling you a bridge in Brooklyn. Star Citizen isn't coming out, or sorry, I'm sorry, Squad 42. Squad 42 isn't coming out until at the very earliest the end of next year. I think at best we're going to get another trailer and a release date announcement, which everyone will meme to death. Now the band new, yes, I did like all right, straight up. Jared, thank you for confirming pooping. I've been having a very shitty day today. So the fact that you confirmed that bowel movements are a thing is really got me off the pot. Paul, why are people trying to downplay item selling? I think just people just don't understand what item selling is. Like, item selling is big because it's like selling the stuff you have. And on top of that, we're getting wandering merchants, y'all. I don't think it's going to be in 3.17, but that's a big deal. The fact that we're going to get AI that just like, Khajiit has wares if you have coin. Come back to my ship. I will sell big things to you. That's something they've been testing. It's like, but no one fucking reads. So, Space Tomato, he can check out check out any time he likes, but he can never leave. You want to throw a saddlebag at someone with a tractor beam? Yeah, that'd probably be funny. I play monthly, but follow progress daily since 2014. Still patient here. As long as you have a healthy attitude about it. They should get rid of the bag and add compartment box that can be filled and dropped and replaced. This is effectively what the bag is. It's just a big compartment box. Yep, almost everything CIG does has an ulterior purpose that seems totally unrelated. I don't know if that, I guess, yeah. What happens when you're using the toilet and the anti-gravity system takes a hit and stops working? Then it spins the other way there, Sergeant Bricks. Then it spins the other way. You get floating poo. I can see it now. Saddlebag quantum IEDs. It could happen. I hope Paul sees that post. Which one? Rowdy Cat? I'm going through all of them. Now the BM and toilets need... No, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I saw that. The refresh rates on commodities right now are great for physicalized cargo, but not the instantaneous that we've had for years. Yeah, I think that's another... CIG is very eager to move towards final product in terms of everything. So if they have something that they think works, they're just going to try to push it. That's what they tried to do with the longer claim timers, which we already admitted is not a good idea right now. Can't wait for the Vulture and salvage and repair. I don't know if we're going to get repair. I think we're going to get salvage, but I do think salvage is going to get pushed. I don't think salvage is going to make it into 3.18, but I don't think it will. I still think it'll make it this year. I think it'll make it in 3.19. I could be wrong. Suppose the fuel prices at stations will see an increase in encouraging players to getting fuel from players. Not in 3.17. I think fuel prices will change in 3.17 dot whatever or 3.18. Because I think CIG is relying on the novelty that players can like call for fuel first to see what happens before they start changing up the fuel prices. I remember that everyone was running around with coffee. Yeah. That looks like carrot juice. Moist. Getting raided? Who raided me? Enterprise. Thanks so much for that raid, buddy. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, I've been trying to get through all of this. Professional Paul. Professional. I'm backtracked, that's all. Hey, Spirit Souls. The one thing no one was asking is where are blood-soaked Viking beards? That's a good question. Yeah, I ran through Rollerville spilling hot coffee every day. The one day it was wrong. Oh yeah, it was Lorville, not Area 18, wasn't it? I need a manly beard to match my real beard. I actually shaved right now, recently. All right, I'm just gonna skip forward to the beginning. Cryovolcanism at some point, Paul. It's in the lore, and it's under some of the moons of Crusader has cryovolcanism. So I think when they can have more flowing water or those kind of things, I think we'll see it. Yeah. Just wondering how selling loot mechanic will work. So apparently, according to CIG, they're going to have certain merchants which will be sellable to. They won't be all merchants, it'll be specific merchants. And when you find them, you'll be able to sell small items to them. But if you want to sell larger items to them, you have to go to their shop or to their ship, which will then be able to be sold to directly. So I think at least initially there'll be some sort of location you could sell to. They may likely just turn on selling for all merchants. So you just got to sell at the merchants that they can buy stuff at. So a weapon will be sold at the weapons shop and will be purchased at a weapon shop. You can buy it, but you can also sell weapons, ammo and armor, all that kind of stuff. That's the simple, easy switch for now, but we'll see. The novelty will last at least a month, just like everything was running trauma beams when medical debuted. Yeah. They'll slap the salvage repair gun and call it a day. Call it a day. Salvage G0 delivered. Maybe. I don't think they'll do repairs though. I think it's just gonna be salvage. What stated do you think server meshing is in now? I think it's still in testing. It's probably been tested a couple times and is worked, but it may not be fully implemented. We'll see. CIG usually likes to talk about how they got something done if they manage to get to it. But I think they're waiting for persistence to be finished, so I don't think we'll see any kind of major announcement of server meshing until persistence is added, which is at the earliest going to happen in 3.18. Is salvage attached to persistence? Everything is attached to persistence. Fencer Grimhex? Probably. Hello, Paul. Question. What happened if I run out of coffee in 3.17? You've got to go back to Area 18 and buy coffee. There's no Starbucks in the Star Citizen universe. You got to go to the one shop. We'll be able to spill our hot coffee and receive damages. Only if they serve the coffee at like whatever the fuck that McDonald's was serving it at, like 400 degrees Kelvin or whatever they were. That's actually a funny story. A lot of people like to make fun of the person who spilled coffee on herself, but the reality was they were serving coffee at like 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Like I'm not even joking. It's some ungodly high temperature that literally like scalded her skin. Like it melted her skin when it fell. And when she sued, she just asked for medical reparations, just for the surgery to help, like to pay for her medical bills. And and McDonald's refused to, which is why this lawsuit went forward. Like her legs were welded together. That's how hot that coffee was. It was not good. 93 degrees Celsius. Yeah. You dress so smart. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. I wonder how many folks will avoid the small vendors, as they will likely need to offload large items. Might end up being a time sink to hit 2 spots. Well, most small vendors are supposedly going to be connected to larger vendors. So you might have a smaller vendor wandering around that then will take you back to their shop. So you might have like something like a small shop that's like, or small like stall where you can find a vendor. Or if you want to sell larger ones, they'll take you back to a larger store or something. I don't know how that works. Hole stripping is technically part of it as well, repair as well. I don't know if it's in the listing. I'll have to look at that. Let me give this one. Tim Citizen. Tim is. Do I think a Steam Deck could run Star Citizen as an alt account while I run my main on my PC? I don't know if the Steam Deck can run Star Citizen, to be honest. In lore, from which system the coffee beans come from? Knowing Star Citizen, probably Bremen. That's my point. So much of it low-hanging fruit. Just odd that they're implementing stuff. There are kiosks to update your character database data by giving your stuff to updating creds. Okay, it was like 190. Yeah, seriously, she was in the hospital for a long time. I watched the documentary. Yeah, it's a fascinating story only because if you're interested in the in litigation lawsuits, like McDonald's and like late night talk shows absolutely just ran her through the ringer, saying how ridiculous it was. Water boils at 100. It was definitely hotter than 100 degrees Celsius. It was above boiling. I've seen the pictures. Bremen, I bet, yeah. It's detailed in 2015. I know on the old repair document. I thought link on Discord. Thank you, Del. No, it's not that I don't think that it's not connected. I just don't know if CIG is going to have it connected in time for salvage. Would you buy a Feet Stream Deck? I'd love to buy a Steam Deck. Yeah. I'd love to get a Steam Deck. I have a Stream Deck, but I'd love to get a Steam Deck. Yeah. She had reconstruction surgery on her private bits. Yeah. Ignore me. Okay, Ronan. How long do you think will be before we get another vendors in the PU? Do you think will come true rollout fashion for every other patch? I think probably every other patch. Once they have an idea of how vendors are supposed to work and they have the vendor AI working and they have all of the other stuff working, it'll be pretty quickly. CIG tends to iterate fairly quick. Hey, Ashrub, hope your night's going well. How's things looking in the verse? Looking pretty good. ISC was pretty good. Oh, ISC, I have to watch it. Go watch it. It's good. Oh yeah, I think I'm finally caught up. Okay. Oh yeah, I don't think we will be able to replace the hull, which will allow for the original repair part. Yeah. Question: do you think selling items to merchants would be limited like selling commodities, and they would only have a limited amount of credits to buy from, and you would need to wait for them to refresh their wallets? Possibly. I think the key is to remember with selling is that I think by the time selling comes, well, no, selling's coming in next patch. I think, yeah, you'll probably have a refresh rate. And once core piece is in, things move pretty fast. They can iterate pretty fast, but pretty fast is a couple of patches. And remember, as we said at the very beginning, the PU teams are still there, and they can iterate faster as long as the core tech is in. You can stream with your foot while you the Feet Stream Deck. Oh God. Oh, you're talking about the foot Stream Deck. No, I don't use that. Do I think they'll revisit running animations? I hope so, because right now you run like you've got a stick up your ass. Corsair's Bay. I'm glad it's going to be a Connie competitor, but sad it won't be a Kara competitor. Sort of. Development fast, wink. Yeah, I know. Sounds like a weird thing to say of Star Citizen. But I mean, look at mining. I like my coffee. I like my MIG welder capable of I like my MIG welder capable of easily melting steel. Oh dear God, I hope merchants don't run out of money like they do in some ARPGs. They probably will. This is Star Citizen we're talking about. Breaking the economy. Question: will selling items make the game more complete? In my opinion, to a degree, I think it'll make it more playable because it'll give people a reason to loot, and then it'll give a new gameplay loop for people to do stuff in. Similar with refueling. Like, I don't think refueling is going to revolutionize the game. It's needed for Pyro, but I do think it's one of those things when someone goes, "Oh, nothing's in Star Citizen," you go, "There's refueling," and they'll go, "Oh, that doesn't count." It's like, but it's a thing. It's in the game. Nothing's in the game. You can sell to shops now. It's like, oh, well, every game has that. It's like, but it's in the game. Regarding too much immersion and detail, does no one realize that one of the reasons the Halo franchise was so successful is because Marty O'Donnell pushed for similar levels of immersion and quality? Yeah, I'd say that too. And I think Marty got he got fucked over a lot, but I also think he's a bit of an arrogant guy too. More closed loop than okay. Yeah, more of a closed loop. Yeah. My coffee often ends up like the woman I love, cold and bitter. Oh, I hope they don't wipe inventory from when selling items comes in. I don't think they're going to wipe inventory or anything until they get to dynamic missions and stuff like that. Eating the goalposts off the field, yeah. Like, all right, because every time I say nice things about Star Citizen, someone always goes, "Paul, you're a shill. You don't say anything bad about Star Citizen." It's like, I do. I just don't have a lot to say that's bad because I don't feel like driving to like circle the wagons and say nothing but the one thing I dislike or the things I like about Star Citizen is constructive. But I will say it just for the sake of people understanding that I'm a human being and I have opinions too. I think CIG is over ambitious with a lot of their goals. And I think when they miss those goals, they're very, very hesitant to admit that they've missed those goals. I think CIG often has no idea what they're doing and are afraid to tell anybody they have no idea what they're doing because when they say they have no idea what they're doing, players will go, this is doomed, and not understand that, like, that's kind of development. You have a general idea you're shooting for, but the end result is going to look very different than what's in your brain. I liken video games are much more similar to like making a movie or a television show than people think, which is why they often make comparisons. If you can have storyboarded to the shot of what you're planning on doing for a specific scene in a movie or television show, but it comes the time to get that shot and you look through the viewfinder and you see the costumes and the setups and you go, this doesn't work. So you have to redress the scene. You have to do it from a different angle. You have to redress the character. You have to change the lighting. A lot of things need to be changed. So there's a lot of variables in the creative process which you can't plan for. And the problem with Star Citizen as a whole or gaming as a whole, is you can't really plan for those things. And the fact that CIG doesn't want to talk about that because they understand the average person doesn't understand that is frustrating, because I think if CIG admitted more of their faults, people would be a lot more reticent, or a lot less reticent to trust them. But yeah, I think CIG is overambitious in their estimates and their goals. I don't think CIG is scamming anyone. I think they actually believe these things, but they don't want to communicate about it. All right, that's just what I mean. You're not giving the people what they want. They need drama. Yeah, but I just don't feel like it's very fruitful to any conversation to just be negative all the time. It's also not fruitful to be positive all the time, but to talk about what you have at hand and do that. So. Farming gameplay loops and Space John Deere starter ship when I want my Star Tractor. I don't think you can get a starter ship. I do think you're probably going to get a harvest vehicle, though, when that comes out. You will get like a giant combine. Hey, Nick, how you doing, buddy? Can't wait for the persistent hangers. Persistent hangers are going to be a lot more important than people think, because they should also correspond with persistent habs. The differences between hangars and habs is just the location. So that's my hope, at least. And persistent hangars should also move the focus of Star Citizen away from pads to hangars. So we'll see. Ambition is two-edged sword. They yield unrealistic expectations and projections, but it's also literally the genesis of the whole project as a whole. Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit... I don't feel like I need to drive that point home, because someone being overly ambitious is not a bad thing, but it can lead to bad things. CIG is overambitious and FDev is underambitious. I think FDev is just underfunded, not overambitious, not underambitious. They just don't have the money that they want to do with things. Which is why I've been a proponent of just saying, I know a lot of people like Frontier Developments or like Elite Dangerous, and I think it's really good, but just take what you've learned from Elite Dangerous and make a new game, a new Elite game. I know that sounds painful, but you've got all these assets and all of these experience. Just sit down, build your engine so it has a nice, healthy multiplayer background, build it from scratch so it supports multiplayer first-person shooting, rework your AIs to make them work well. You've already done a lot of AI work with all of your other games. Port some of that new work in and really just dig down on that. I think that would go very, very well for players if you just started from the beginning with what you've learned. Because I think they could give a Star Citizen experience to the Elite Dangerous universe if they just started from scratch, which scares them because people from the Elite game will lose their minds because they spent, like I spent 70 hours playing this game. I spent $80 playing this game. It's like, yeah, but the game released 10 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever. It's been almost a decade, like, since the game's been out. Just move along. Like, it's okay to build a new game. FDev is even funding but lacks focus as a whole. Say what you want about auteur theory, but having Chris at the helm is kept the vision pure. No, I don't think it's necessarily kept the vision pure. I think it's the fact that they only have been focused on one game, well, two, but the same universe. They don't have to split their attention with a bunch of other games to keep their doors open. I have 5,001 hours, 5,100 hours in Elite. It's frustrating. I can imagine. What do you think Quanta is currently in? Do you think Quanta is currently in? Yes, Quanta is in. It's just not fully implemented. Quanta, you ever get a price alert in game? That's Quanta. It's just not fully integrated with everything yet. My fish in multiple bars need places to be. Yeah. Do I think hangars will be located in one spot? You choose your home base. I think that based off of what CIG has said, each hangar that you have in your account will be able to be placed for free anywhere in the universe. But I don't know if that's still the case. I only have one ship, so I'm very happy to sleep in my Cutlass. FF also has a publisher knocking on their walls. Yes. It's the reality of Elite Dangerous is at the edge of what they can accomplish. I don't think it's at the edge of what they can accomplish. I think it's at their current limits of what the end of what that game can do. What is Quantum? So Quantum is a system that CIG has developed, which is effectively the dynamic economy. It's the dynamic universe. Sorry, I'm very stuffed up for some reason. Allergies, probably. And the cold. But Quantum is that. Quanta is individual things that are happening in like individual like units of information inside the quantum system. So yeah. I always love your takes. Always your voice of reason when people are screaming for blood. Good to keep the devs accountable. At the end of the day, the world isn't ending over some drama. Yeah. I always say that the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is apathy. If someone is screaming for blood, it means they still care. If there's the publisher, yes, but they're also the developer for Elite, I believe. I'm all for Elite succeeding No Man's Sky 2 because it keeps the space game genre fresh with healthy rivalry. Also gets it greenlights more developers to make more space games. We all can like more space games. That's why I started covering a little bit of what do they call? What is it called? Starfield. I'm going to play Starfield when it comes out. I'm going to do more lore stuff when more lore stuff comes out for Starfield because I want to see it succeed. If Bethesda can make this independent, or their new IP work and continue to develop it, it should bring in more people who are interested in space games. It's like Skyrim is Babby's first RPG, and it brought so many people into the world of RPGs. If Starfield is Bobby's first, space game, sci-fi space opera, then it should bring a lot more people into things like Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous and such. So you don't have to pre-order anything. Don't pre-order Starfield, especially if you're getting it digitally. There's no point in pre-ordering digitals. They're not running out of copies. Do you think CIG could add Pyro Jump Point and entrance this year without Pyro this year? Yeah, they could add the animations, but you wouldn't be able to go through it. Please let Starfield be Space Oblivion. I'd be okay with that. I hope Starfield comes to Game Pass because I can't afford new games. Yes, it is apparently going to be going to Game Pass because it is exclusive to Xbox and and PC. So if it's going to Xbox and PC, it's going to be on Game Pass day one probably. Yeah. I got Game Pass for Halo Infinite, and ironically, I've used Game Pass more to play Minecraft. I've been getting back into Minecraft every so often, just for fun. Because it's been like, I think 10 years since I played Minecraft before this. It's a nice, relaxing, just shit around kind of game. Because when it came out, I was in my 20s. Pyro without Pyro. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that, though. No point in pre-ordering digital. It's not like they're running out of copies. CIG marketing would like a word. There's no point in buying any Star Citizen ships. If you're going to play Star Citizen, buy the base package. You don't need to buy anything else. Weyland-Yutani is evil. They argue evil. Weyland-Yutani is definitely evil. So is the Tyrell Corporation. I'm skeptical of Bethesda games until they can prove they can make games worth buying again. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good point. Which is another reason why I want to cover Starfield, because if Starfield ends up being garbage, I'm going to be the first one to tell you. Question. I know you talked about the hangars already, but I have a unique question. Long ago, we purchased Arena Commander for 5 USD, but they credited us to give it for free. Now the hangar upgrades were version 2 of the hangar. I sold and melted my upgrade, and recently they removed them from the shops. Did those whom had one get credited? I don't know. That's something to bring up with CIG's customer service. Hey, Vitorin. Yeah, 76 made me very angry. But a lot of people like 76, so I'm not going to shit on people who like it. That's before my time. Yeah, that's a question for customer service, because I remember they did credit back that kind of stuff. I hear you talk a lot about sci-fi a lot, but there are any fantasy worlds that you really love? If so, which ones? Yes. It's been so long since I've listened to fantasy or like watched fantasy or read fantasy. I'm trying to like I mean the Elder Scrolls series is a favorite of mine. I'm okay with Lord of the Rings a little bit. When I was a kid, I liked Redwall. I'm a little bland when it comes to fantasy. I knew a lot about the D&D settings, like Faerun and the Forgotten Realms. And I want to get into Warhammer, but I get torn because like Warhammer Fantasy was cool, and apparently Sigmar sucks ass. And when I look at it more and more, I realize as an Imperial Guard player for Warhammer 40K, I'm like, yeah, that kind of sucks, because it sounds like Warhammer Fantasy had like a good representation of just normal dudes fighting the powers of like terrible chaos and like evil destruction and stuff like that. And Sigmar is basically Stormcloaks, who are storm, whatever they're called, the Space Marines. That's all they are. They don't really have any human representation. I mean, I guess there's the armies of the cities of Sigmar, but they're just shitty ports of the Empire. So, yeah. My opinion on Outposts and if we might see improvements this year. I really hope so, but I'm not holding my breath. So recently I started playing 76 for the first time and was surprised. It was actually pretty good story-wise. They added some good quests and NPCs. Yeah, like I've said, I've seen a lot of people who enjoy it, but I haven't played it after the initial debacle of how bad it was. Elder Scrolls was awesome until Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim's okay. I think they kind of petered out with Skyrim, but its simplicity, I think, was its downfall. King Killer Chronicles is amazing. Ronan, nice. Do you think AI will be better at arcade game than Surf Coffee? That's a good question. I don't know. 76 is doing a decent No Man's Sky from what I hear. Yeah, I've heard that too. Thank you. Makes me feel old. Yeah, the problem I have with fantasy stories is that there are so many of them, and I just have been burned out from fantasy stories in general. Have I played Elden Ring yet? No, I have no desire to play Elden Ring. Skyrim had a downfall. It was one of the most popular games of its time and still widely played by people. Yes, but it's definitely the simplest and most dumbed down of the Elder Scrolls games in the last 3. Like, Oblivion I don't think was better than Skyrim or Morrowind, but I enjoyed it more than I played Skyrim. And Morrowind is I think categorically better game as an RPG. But it's not as good of an experience because the combat sucks ass and everything's in text. And As I have proven multiple times with this series of office hours, gamers don't read. But excited for Starfield. I am excited for Starfield. I think Starfield is Bethesda's chance to do something that they really want to do, which is nice. By the way, I don't know if we have anybody. Can we get a follow for Enterprise, who's a fantastic content creator, worth your time, worth your energy? I don't know if you're still here, Ender, but thank you for the raid. Sorry, I just been going on all this stuff. Thank you all. Go follow Enterprise. He's a great dude. Dragon Age, yeah, I enjoyed the first Dragon Age. I couldn't get into to it after the first one though. The second one I heard was okay, and then the third one is good. A lot of people liked the third one. I just never got into it. I get what Dragon Age was trying to do, but I don't know. I feel like fantasy, that sort of fantasy story is played out. If I want to see a fantasy story, like, here's a good example. I think Kingdom Come Deliverance is a better sort of medieval RPG than any other medieval RPGs that have released recently. Because it's classic swords, no sorcery, but it's set in a different world than some magical utopia or some, you know, Tolkien-esque inspiration. It's telling the story of a very different type of story. I think that's the reason why The Witcher was so popular, is because it's not Tolkien. It's Eastern Europe, you know? And, you know, The Witcher series is a great example of being a fantasy series that tells fantasy stories, which has more akin to Eastern European folk tales than, you know, the Nordic Tolkien and English-inspired Tolkien novels. Like, you know what I want to see for fantasy series in games and in media? Something inspired by African traditions or Middle Eastern traditions or steppe traditions, like the Huns, the Mongolians, the Turks, those sorts of places. Because those are interesting stories. They have interesting stories to tell, but you've never probably played a game set in the steppe outside of, like, Age of Empires. You'd like the King Killer Chronicles, then? Name of the Wind is a fantastic book. I'd have to take a look at it. Jade Empire is a great example as well. It kind of leans a little bit too much into Chinese stereotypes, but yeah, Game of Thrones had step people, but you were kind of there. Mountain Blade, that's true. That's why I love the Day Watch and Night Watch books and movies. They're by a Russian author and great fantasy set in today's age and aged in today's day and age too. Nice. I mean, I haven't read the books, but I have read the first book, and it was kind of a caricature, yeah. You know, like, let me put it this way. A desert-themed fantasy adventure where you go into ancient cities and ruins, which are modeled after, like, the Mesopotamians, you know, like the Sumerians and the Akkadians, but you play in a, you know, Seleucid Empire inspired Persia, you know, with that sort of motif and mythology. Or even like a fantasy setting in you know, Pakistan, India, Afghanistan region. Those areas, that's also another fascinating cultures, like Pushtun. They made the movies of Day Watch books, and it looks interesting to watch, huh? Okay. Prince of Persia? Prince of Persia's... Prince of Persia isn't exactly what I'm talking about. There's a lot of the Conan games. Yeah, to a degree. Conan does a lot of inspiration from ancient Mesopotamia, for sure. And I'm not even just talking about RPGs. I'm talking about like movies and books and stuff like that too. But I like, when's the last time you saw a fantasy setting with like inspired by the Songhai Empire or the Ethiopians? Like those are some very interesting cultures and histories that you just don't hear about. Oh, we're just talking about someone asked me about a fantasy stuff, like, because I like watch like I like a lot of sci-fi, but what fantasy stuff do I like? And I've just been like talking about how I have fantasy fatigue, because like elves, orcs, dwarves, gnomes, goblins, it's like kobolds, like, okay, thank you for regurgitating the same stuff at me. I just want something different. Which is the reason why I liked Expanse so much, because it doesn't lean into any of those like heavy sci-fi tropes. Sci-fi is so easy to buck tropes because it's fun. The Aboriginal people, any kind of RPG or stories, like fantasy story setting using Aboriginal kind of motifs, or like even, Maori or Polynesian motifs would be fucking badass. It'd be cool. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why Dune is so refreshing to read. Yeah, because and people forget, it's like, why is desert planets a staple of all science fiction? It's like, well, two reasons: Westerns and Dune. Probably we won't, unless movie industries get better in African countries in higher funding. Yeah, we just could see. Do you see the possibility of an in-game company that sells recreations of famous Earth-based science fiction ships? Practically, it would be a licensing program for companies that like MGM, Amazon, for small sections of ships, like shows like Stargate. Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that as a something that you'd see Asperia do. That's kind of what they did. Question theory. Many may laugh or chuckle about the hover quad. Many frown and pick on the Nomad. But I have a theory, however, that hover quad is like a jet ski going over water, etc. Where other vehicles are gravity based, meaning they would sink in the water. Water line goes down as it follows the curvature, where the hover quad doesn't. You think it might be a thing, like effectively like the hover quad is like and the Nomads are like ships. Yeah, I could see them doing that. Yeah, Expanse is wicked good. Yeah. Question: do you think that the game loops will be created for trading from planet stations to support the viable use of larger cargo ships? Whole series, low price, high volume cargo. Yes, there will be, but I don't think those are going to be until Pyro comes in. Banshee series. Okay. What was the dev post that was misunderstood? This one. Basically, the post that said, hey, these specific teams, the actor feature, actor tech, weapon feature, and weapon content teams, are doing Squadron 42 first, and then the PU teams will import their work into the PU after it's added to Squadron. What people have interpreted that is effectively that nothing is coming in this year, that everything's going into Squadron, and that Star Citizen is an afterthought. And that's not the case at all. Everything that goes into Squadron goes into Star Citizen and vice versa. It's just the gameplay teams themselves are being moved over to build gameplay tech for Squadron first and then import it into the PU. We've seen this before with other teams like lighting and cinematography, environment, with things like spacescaping. Spacescaping was added into the PU first before it was added into the Squadron 42 first before it was added into the Star Citizen. That's effectively all this is it just changes that up. And the change was made in September of last year. So people going, oh, this means this year is going to be nothing. It's like, no, it means that in September they started working on Squadron. once they finished up their sprints. So it was a kind of a slow rollover process, but by the end of the year, they had already started working on the stuff they were going to be putting into the PU into Squadron first, which means that sometime in the next patch or two, the stuff that was supposed to come out in 3.17 is going to end up in 3.18 or 3.19. You still get it. It's just going to come in a little bit later than we initially thought, and it'll be more of a complete form. So instead of having clouds on one planet, you have clouds on all planets, as an example of that. Instead of having push-pull dynamics for just this one ship, all the ships will have that push-pull baked into them. Something like that. I don't know if that's exactly the case, but it's definitely one of those things. Instead of NPC that doesn't work in Star Citizen, perhaps they could hire real bartenders or some low-cost countries, or players could work in bartenders with different roles needed. The bartenders work pretty well. I don't know if it's the last time you've been into a bartender. They actually work fairly well now. They even work on stations. They don't just work in landing zones. Do you think there's a lot of work that might be completed but being held back so it's more surprise when Squadron 42 is released? Yes, everything in the Odin system, the Idris, the Javelin, all of those things are not going to be in Star Citizen until they go into Squadron. But I don't think gameplay is going to be held back, no. The movie with Freddie Prinze, Wing Commander? Dune is a masterpiece of science sci-fi borderlining on magic because it's just so far in the future that it's almost inconceivable. Yeah. People choose to hear what they want to hear, and for what reason seems to be the loud minority want this game to fail. Thank you for quickly going over the post. Yeah, it's mostly that I agree that Star Citizen can fuck up sometimes, and CIG is bad at certain things like communication. And they're improving on it. They're trying, so I'll give them that. But if someone is going to be critical of Star Citizen, they should be critical of what Star Citizen said, not what they think they said. Because if you are critical of something that CIG never even said, then your credibility as someone who is trying to be like, hey, I'm just asking questions, I'm just here to hold CIG accountable, is called into question. Because it means that you're not really there to hold CIG accountable. You're just there to be mad, and you're inventing reasons for you to be mad and to make other people mad. That's what it comes across as. I'm frustrated, I'm mad, and I'm going to invent shit so that other people can get mad. And that doesn't help you. It doesn't help holding CIG accountable. It doesn't help anything. It just pisses people off and makes you look like you're lying, and then people like me have to deal with it. Honestly, the most of the time I deal with a lot of these things and kind of address these issues, it's more so that I can just not have it pop up in my fucking comment section every 5 seconds because someone's angry about Squadron 42 and I mention something and we're talking about like fucking the new player experience for Star Citizen, and some jackass pops in for like a captain's table, some jackass pops into my comment section complaining about Squadron 42 not being out. It's like my comment section is not a bulletin board for your feelings. Go to the proper locations. I think even Space Tomato did a post about that. Or did a video about that, about how that kind of thing happens. And it happens all the time. You know, I catch a lot of that stuff because there's a lot of people who are unhinged who make those sort of comments, who make them, you know, barely legibly, lots of swearing and other like sanctimonious bullshit. Like, I'm going to unsubscribe for you because CIG has raped my parents. Like that kind of like absolute, like, what is nonsense are you on sort of thing. Being mad for the sake of being mad helps nobody but makes you feel better. It's like if you got to take a shit, taking a shit and then sitting down on that shit, you'll feel better after you take the shit, but if you sit down on the shit, you're just sitting there with shit on your ass. Shit in a toilet and flush the toilet. Don't shit on your hands and then walk around with shit on your hands and complain you've got shit on your hands. This doesn't help anybody. If you're mad about something, you can be mad about it, but being mad about everything is just pointless. Unsub because Space Raptors Chris Roberts ate my babies. Yes. Space Dragon Chris Roberts eats children and then sits on his hoard of $400 million. That's what I learned from the internet. I don't want sources. I want you to be wrong. Yeah. Use a bidet. That's a good choice. I don't think any of my unhinged discussions about poop made any sense. I just wanted to make more poop jokes. Because this stream has a definitive lack of poop jokes. The scatological meter is too damn low. Just shitty. Thank you, Ben. Oh yeah, let's look at the other thing I was gonna look at today was the Galactipedia update. All right, Stormwall. There's a Stormwall. Stormwall is a warm-blooded vertebrate indigenous to Crusader. Stanton 2, UEE. It was discovered in 2855 when 3 workers assembling Providence platform for the UEE Navy were startled by a storm wall rising from the depths of the planet's atmosphere, causing them to drop some of their tools. The storm wall is the largest known animal with the ability to fly. Some storm walls can reach 100 meters in length upon reaching adulthood. They're most commonly rosy gray in color, with iridescent red fins and lightly striped hides flecked with gold. Deep blue storm walls with blue-gray fins have also been observed. They have long, spade-shaped snouts and 4 eyes, 2 on each side of the head. 4 long barbels trail off the head from the chin and the brow, which are used alongside filaments on their pectoral dorsal and tail fins to sense the minuscule electrical fields of aeroplankton and kiami, their main prey. 4 other elongated non-frilled fins are situated on the left and right side of the stormwall's belly, 6 nostrils on either side of the snout, and 2 enormous cavities just behind the head take in air that is internally distilled by the by specialized organs to contain only helium and hydrogen, which is then used to fill inner flight bladders that enable the storm wall to maintain flight. Excess air is expelled and new air is taken in as needed. They weigh adult ormos must eat between 1,000 and 15,000 or 1,500 kilograms of aeroplankton, kiami, small floaters, and other animals each day. They cooperate with other pods when hunting, flying in circles to force prey to concentrate on the center of an air vortex. The storm walls then take turns swimming into the trapped prey, taking huge gulps of air until they are sated. Solo storm walls often eat by diving into cloud formations that are densely populated with aeroplankton. Electricity is vital to storm walls' life cycle. To communicate, either to signal that a food source has been found, seek mates, call young who have flown too far from their parents, or simply engage in bonding behavior, storm walls send pulses of electricity to one another over long distances. Oh, that's not good. When engaging in courtship, each storm wall will weave an intricate electrical pattern and transmit it to the prospective mate. This process can take several days. If either animal dislikes the pattern, they will break away from one another and seek mates elsewhere. Stormwall reproduction is a coordinated affair because they give live birth, and stormwalls do not land. A stormwall in labor must be watched by one or more other stormwalls. When the squall emerges from the mother, one of the watching stormwalls will catch it and let it rest so that it has time to slowly fill its internal air cavities. Squalls that are not caught in the great danger of falling to their deaths, when When the squall is finally able to float, it is returned to the mother, where it latches onto the mammary glands and feeds. It will nurse to it as its primary food source for up to 2 standard Earth years. Denizens of Origin consider Stormwalls a symbol of their city. A large statue of the Stormwall entitled Until Then by artist Bafista Zhu sits in Cloudview Center, and the official mascot of the city, Finley the Stormwall, can be purchased in a plush form in local shops. Visitors to Horizon can book tours to a nearby Stormwall sanctuary, where they try to catch a glimpse of the animals in their natural habitat. In recent years, poachers have been spotted hunting and killing Stormwalls within the bounds of the sanctuary, to the outrage of locals. Crusader security has increased its presence in the area to deter further attacks. There you go.
Weapons for y'all.
That's interesting. Okay. That's very interesting. So I can see the problem already, that if the Stormwalls communicate through electric currents sent through across the planet, that something like Orison is a giant electric magnet that would probably fuck up a lot of that communication ability, especially with ships flying in and out of the atmosphere. Definitely a hope for some missions, yes. The Banshee systems. Look at that real quickly, because that's actually a really important system, I think. This is the one that I kept forgetting about. Banshee system, discovered by Adis Dayan in 2317, is an unusual planetary system in the United Empire of Earth, consisting of a pulsar, a mesoplanet, 2 terrestrial planets, and 1 ice giant. This star is not luminous enough for life to develop on the surface of any of its planets. However, the third planet from the Sun, Lorana, supports an underground settlement populous enough to hold a seat in the UEE Senate. From the 24th to the 26th century, travels between the systems were severely restricted by the UPE until the trademark Minto versus UPE court case nullified the government's travel ban and ruled that the full systems could not be declared off limits. Ooh. So Banshee is important because Banshee is where... I like money. Where are you? Lorana. Is where, what's his name? Keller, of Keller's Run, was born. A lot of people in the Banshee system end up becoming criminals and pirates. They live in a very unique location. Is there an in-lore equivalent to Sea Shepherd? To Sea Shepherd. What's Sea Shepherd? Is that the ship that stops whalers? Probably. There's nothing in lore that we know of yet, though. That's a good system. Straight to lore, straight to the vein. Is that? I don't remember that. Our ship has lost power, Captain. We were hit by a stormgasm. Stormwalls have hydrogen. I know where this will go. Big boom. Well, they also have hydrogen. Do you believe Stormwalls will be flying EMP machines? I think they might. No, now I need aeroplankton windshield wipers when flying about Crusader. It'd be funny if you just saw like green specks like onto your windshield as you're flying through clouds. There you go. Question. Do I expect more lore content when Pyro should drop in the PU? Yes, 100%. I believe we'll have more gangs, because I think we only have a handful of gangs. There's supposed to be like a dozen or so gangs in the Pyro system. We only have the fire rats. I always call them the enforcers, but that's the wrong name. Something like that. The Xeno threat, and there's a couple of ones. The hi-hats, I think, is another one, something like that. Should have more than that, though, for sure. That pulsar system will be a nasty place to go without adequate radiation shielding. Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Hey, mate, new motherboard arrived today, so hopefully I can get back the PC on its feet. All right, execute. That's good to hear. I got new headphones. It has little clips, so I can keep it on my head a little bit better. Or another thing there, how about you fuck right off? That shit. Alkiaku or whatever. Which ones? Oh, so the ones before were really bad. It had really bad audio quality. These are USB head, like earbuds, which are nice. All right, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go use the head real quickly and come back. Ask questions if you have any questions. Someone choosing violence. Hey, I choose violence every day. Every day I wake up and choose violence. I just don't like spammers coming in talking about buying followers. Don't ever follow for that. A, they'll probably steal your money. And B, Twitch can track that stuff, and you won't like where it goes. I've seen the Mad headphones it has. I haven't, no. All right, I'm going to be right back, y'all. Do not go anywhere. Moment. There you go. Be right back. All right, back. I just watched the Jack Flags video before this one. I see a big YouTube checking out Star Citizen like Jack Frags. Yes, and I think it's going to happen more often. I think, did I play it yet? Star Citizen? Yes, I play Star Citizen all the time. I just don't, this is more of a kind of an AMA stream where if you have questions about Star Citizen lore or news, I'm here to help you out with that. But no, I play Star Citizen on Fridays and Sundays usually, so. Share stream, yeah. But yeah, I think this is a controversial opinion, I think, but may not be a controversial opinion, I don't know. I firmly believe that we're going to see more people play Star Citizen with much bigger audiences. Markiplier, I think, is going to definitely play Star Citizen in the near future. I've heard that he has a interest in space and space exploration and science fiction. So anybody with even a passing inkling in science fiction will try Star Citizen at some point if they make gaming content. If a player, if somebody is really deep into lore, they'll find Star Citizen at some point. I mean, even already Oh gosh, what are they called? The Templin Institute has already done multiple videos on Star Citizen. Poorly researched videos, but videos nonetheless. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw other people from those sort of area of places comes in. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw role players and RPG players, other sim players in those sorts of genres. We've already seen Tarkov players come in and play Star Citizen. Star Citizen is such an interesting mix of so many different genres that it'll have something for just about everyone. Well, at least they ain't the fucking audio team again. Yeah. Question: do I think we'll see corporate armies? Think Weyland-Yutani own fleet? Yes, we definitely will. That's what Crusader Security and Hearthstone Security are. I want to learn more about them Hadesians. We all want to learn more about the Hadesians. And the Blue Man, Mr. Toby. We need so many more role players in Star Citizen. We do. Star Citizen is every genre. Yeah, that's both its blessing and its curse, that Star Citizen is every genre. And what keeps them from adding comets to the game? Probably nothing. I think the reason why they haven't added comets more has to do with the fact that they haven't added, like, orbiting planets at this point. Parker, what were you asking? I just saw the question thing. I didn't pop it up. I didn't see anything pop up. I hope there's a bit of lore added to the game in Pyro hits. Of course there will be. There's always more lore added. I just hope it's added in-game other than just on the website. What kind of missions do you like to do currently, Astro? I like the bunker missions. They're fun to do with other players. I'm a big smuggling guy. I like to do the smuggling stuff, which is just cargo missions, but it's interesting to me. I like most of the, actually all of the events that CIG's done I think are good. Even the Ninetales Lockdown, which is the weakest of the events, is still pretty fun. Question, do you think that they will orbit one day? Yes, I just don't know when. Be right back and I'm going to cry and watch SC. Morning from Germany. What did I miss so far? We talked a little bit about, like the main title is mostly, it just is this misunderstanding that Star Citizen said they're not going to add anything all year in terms of gameplay, which is not what they said. Talked a little bit about the new lore that was added. Banshee and the Stormwall. ISC is good if you like ships. Lots of stuff for ships. Everything from the Banner Merchantman to the Corsair to the Vulture. All of that's added. Jumptown is good. Jumptown, I'm torn with Jumptown because I think CIG, the idea that CIG is playing with variable speeds upon which Jumptown maze is distributed is a good thing. But the fact that CIG didn't say anything, because like part of me is like, there's going to come a point when Star Citizen adds something or changes something and they don't put it in the patch notes because they want players to discover it themselves. And I feel like if CIG changes something intentionally and doesn't tell anybody, that people are going to get angry that they didn't tell them, even though telling them would ruin the surprise. I don't know. I just now experienced Xeno for the first time in the last one. I haven't seen any videos about it prior, and I'm glad I did. It was an incredible experience. It really is. The Corsair looks good, but why in lore does it have a hangar bay? It doesn't have a hangar bay. It has a cargo bay that's used for vehicles. It doesn't have hangars. They never captured the magic of the OG Jumptown. I never expected them to do that, but I'd expect them to at least replicate it in some way, shape, or form that makes sense with the current version of Star Citizen. We can never go back to the old Jumptown. The old Jumptown was a relic of its time. Did not telling us about the 400 ride ruin the surprise? No, because we all wanted it as soon as we heard about it. Yeah. There's a big difference between having surprises and changing something that is known. I guess so, but I think changing things in terms of balance is normal. But like that was really adding something. It wasn't really changing something. It was changing something, but it was also adding something. Like what's going to happen when they add in, new mission variations, or they change the mission variations? They've done that before, where they added, without telling anybody, they added fucking reputation to cargo missions. So now you can earn reputation with cargo missions, which will increase pay. They didn't say that to anybody. I actually have a theory that Pyro was already in the game. Probably is, but there's not a jump point for sure. Not really. I still don't know how to get into the old jump town. Just went as a crew. Yeah. A relic of its time that Astroprep did a full cinematic quality documentary on, because I think it was important for the story and of Star Citizen, because it was part of the lore, added as part of the lore, but also as a historical documentary from the community perspective. It was an event in game that deserved its own reputation. It had its own reputation that deserved the stories to be told. You can take the history out of the historian, but you can't take the historian out of history, or whatever. I don't know a good one. I'm a historian through and through, and the biggest part of me about history is stories and telling stories that would be otherwise lost to time, recording them. And that's what that Jumptown documentary was for me. It wasn't just a cool documentary for me to do it. It was also recording the actual events of players in game. They said in early vids they want to name jump points after players who discovered them. They do. I don't think we'll see that with known jump points, though. So like the jump point to the Pyro system is going to be a known jump point. Maybe we'll be able to put some ships in it, but that goes with any vehicle bay. Yeah. To be fair, Jared, what Preoccupied talking about poop in the Band of Worshipmen. Yes, he was. It was the best ever. Jumptown was not good nor bad. It was chaos. Sometimes organized, sometimes not. That's why I love it. The original Jumptown was an experience I'll never give back. Participating in it, hearing other people's stories, was very important. And, it sounds silly, but events like that happen in people's lives and they can affect them. They can, at their core, change who they are, what they experience, what they like. And just because it's digital doesn't make it any different. Doesn't make it any not real. And it's important to record those events in history because those moments are the ones that will get lost. Lost like tears in the rain. Because they're so easily lost, because they're so shrugged off as just an event. How many people look back at was it Boar's Head War in Eve? There's Eve had 2 or 3 major wars that went on, which, have not fully been documented because a lot of the people who participated in those wars never wrote down their experiences. That's something I don't want to see with Star Citizen. But if I have to be Star Citizen's unofficial historian, I'll do it. If it's for the good of the community. Question: Do you know if exists jump point between 2 planets in the same system? No. There are no jump points between 2 planets in the same system. You can look at every single jump system in the Star Citizen Arc star map. There's no such thing as a jump point that is an intra-system jump point, the one that jumps from one planet to another in the same system. I know CIG has developed one, obviously for testing, and I know that they may be planning on releasing it. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a dumb idea. I think it's an idea that will just confuse people as to the nature of jump points. Just like how people are still confused that Delamar is not located in Stanton. People are still confused. Wait, Levski isn't actually in Stanton? No, Levski is in the Nix system. But they had it finished, so they added it. And I think that added more confusion than it needed to happen. Okay, then try again. Question. See anything you like in the new Galactipedia post? I like the Stormwall stuff, and the stuff on the Banshee system is good. Rytif is also great. Whenever you're talking about Bremen, I'm always a big fan of that, because Bremen is a very important system in the UEE. Talk to gosh, who is it? Al. Talk to Al about Bremen. Al's got a complete theory about Bremen, being that it's going to eventually be the spot where the future of the UEE is decided, because it is such a big player in most of UEE history. The Kano system's cool. Cartagena. Cartagena is the second planet in the star system, the Kano system. It's an ocean world discovered in 2463. Cartagena has resisted terraforming attempts. Its residents inhabit a sealed arcology surrounded by geothermal waters underneath the planet's northern ice cap. Fair Chance Act was invoked to protect further terraforming attempts when the microscopic organisms exhibiting signs of intelligence were discovered in the ocean. While the immigration is prohibited, the descendants of the Cartagena's original settlers have been allowed to stay in Cartagena City. Cartagena City is under the water. It's an underwater city. I would want jump point between Jump Down and Grimhex. No. I like the idea, but no. Comment, just like one of the Plague event, a Wrath of the Lich King, I'll never forget it. That was so big that scientists came to take notes and document the reactions of players. Exactly, T-Jack. That's a good example. No, Lesky was a rogue interloper from Nyx. You had amazing events like the protest of Jita against those crazy initial microtransactions when they implemented the first iterations of walking in stations. Bremen's the home of Silas Kerner? Yes. All the Kerner family. The Kerner family is one of the original founders of Rytif, which is the capital of Bremen. What was the gate system going to be from one side of the halo to the other? That's different. That the gate system, the air and halo gates are not jump gates. They're just giant space stations. They're effectively giant metal shields where they've blocked off or like cleared out areas of asteroids so that you can travel through the air and halo. Is the raft for normal trading or just for crates in the future? Should I get a Freelancer Max? The raft is not designed as a normal trader. You can trade with it, but it's a cargo hauler first and a trader second. The Max is a much better option for cargo hauling and trading. I'd want to jump point. Oh, yeah. So the Delamar is actually a Drake Leviathan confirmed. Yes. Lore team comes up with cool stuff. Tech team, fuck. Basically. Bremen coffee and possibly future. So Space Brazil or Space Cuba? More like Space Cuba. Levski not being in the Stanton system has messed me up to this day. Remembering having to go purchase the Cuddy Black. So now I keep thinking I need to go back there for another specific purpose. Yeah. Silas Kerner gives me big what if Elon Musk but Matthew McConaughey vibes. Yeah. Which tells me that this accent, the nice accent of the Silas Kerner, is actually the Bremen accent. Always thought that this accent is more of a Terra accent, but I guess it could be also a Bremen accent. Air and Halo Gates equals Space Highway. Effectively. They're places where, because like the Air and Halo is this giant ring of impassable objects, which is super deep and super tall. And you can pick your way through them, or you can go above them or below them, but you can't go through them. Like you can't like jump through them. You can pick the way through them and then jump out, or you can go around them and get to the edge and jump out. But you can't jump straight through it. So to jump straight through it, you got to go to the Air and Halo Gates. Now, I think the Air and Halo Gates initially were designed for a very different version of Star Citizen that never existed, or has completely changed, I should say. Back when Star Citizen was effectively Freelancer 2 in like the 2.0 days. That was the goal. Now it's a little bit more complicated because of, planetary landing and such, but I still think they're working on them because they did gray box them at some point. Question, do you find any utility for the Cutlass Steel? Yes, it's a great coffin. I think the steel will be a good people transport, but expensive for people transport. They're going Star Wars with the asteroid belts. Real belts are spaced apart pretty far apart. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're going very fantasy science fiction when it comes to the asteroid belts. They're definitely not realistic. Much more kind of generic. At least in our solar system. I don't think there's, the problem is that many space rocks would have an incredible amount of gravitational pull on one another. They wouldn't be in a ring like that without forming into a planet by hitting into each other. It's the Great Coffin. It's a great coffin. It's a cheap pyre where you can kill a lot of people, a lot of players, and burn them up. Bremen to Space Texas? Effectively, yes. So a whole series be good for trading? It's pure cargo running. The whole series is pure cargo running. So the difference between cargo running and trade old-fashioned cowboy is that the whole series, or I should say trading and hauling, is that trading is designed for you to buy goods and then sell them speculatively. Having something you can sell to somebody else, setting up your own shops, those sorts of things. Whereas cargo running is, hey, I've got 25 units of space potatoes that need to go to Bremen. Pick them up and run them for me. That's effectively what you're doing. It's like the difference between space trucking and space merchants is what it is. If you had to have a choice, you'd take a coffin with machine guns on it. Yes. 100%. Hey, thank you so much there, Chewed Toy, for that rate of 18 or 16 people. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Office Hours. This is a live stream where I take questions from the audience, talk about Star Citizen news and lore and more. How you doing, buddy? Cola cough drops, the Cutty Steel. Oh. Will we see those kinds of quests with cargo refactoring? Yes, probably not at the initial cargo refactor stage, but that's kind of the point. The big deal with cargo refactor in terms of like quests is that it probably will be more linked to Quanta. So the question is more, will Quantum be more fleshed out by that time or not? It could be. That's still like July, August of this year. So at the earliest. Hauling cargo or carrying trade goods, you're speculating effectively. I think there will be a time and place for steel eventually. We may not be there yet, but perhaps the orgs have some PvP events will use them for the most. They're not terrible, but they're not good for sustained combat. Theories on the status of server meshing. I will say that I don't think server meshing is finished yet, because CIG would be talking about it. I think it's in development, and CIG definitely has said that they are planning. They think that they'll have it done by the end of this year. So, based off of experience or based off what CIG has talked about with things like persistence, I think that the latest estimates is what I'd go with, and their latest estimate for persistence was Q2 of this year. So far, that seems to be right. So if that holds true, then Q4 of this year would be server meshing, which would mean end of the year patch having server meshing, which would be a big fucking deal. Do I think the reason they pushed back the whole sea has something to do with tractor beams? It probably has to do with tractor beams. It probably has to do with Lots of different factors. They've even said they wanted to give it a little bit more of a polish. So I think they'll show off server meshing at SitCon, and they'll say, hey, yeah, it's coming out in 3 or 4.0 is coming out at the end of this year. I don't know if that'll pan out like that, but I think that's their plan at least. Do I think... Oh, no, there's another question up here. Hold on. Do I think that there should be a wait time put for the whole C to put hands on the D and E? Oh, do you think we should wait a long time after the whole C to put our hands on the D and E? No. I think the D and E will come out shortly after, but there's no point in speculating on that yet because the D and E require an economy that doesn't exist yet. The whole B is more likely to be coming in rather than the whole D. The Steel seems to be like a showcase for accessories. You'd normally never put all those features together on the same ship. You'd put individually, they're pretty good. All right. Do I think the reason... Oh, okay, yeah. Shaps to do with Strapper means. Server meshing shit con, yeah. Oh. This is going to sound weird. Because I thought the whole D, because whole C is too smaller. Yeah, the whole C is smaller. The whole D is too big. Like, I don't even think the whole C has its full purpose when it comes into the game. Because the whole C requires something like Pyro to exist. And there's something like dynamic missions to exist for it to really function the way it should. So, like, there's no point in having the whole C in the current mission system where the only cargo you're carrying is a tiny box. All right, y'all. I'm actually getting a little tired. I think I'm going to call it a night. People seem to be kind of burned out and that kind of stuff. So I'll take some last couple of questions and we'll come up here. Question prediction, drum roll. Paul is going to publicly guess what the next ship this sale is coming up on is going to be. Oh, the next new ship sale? Okay, let me look into my crystal ball. I see a Delta Wing. Ah, some sort of flying triangle. What's this? It seems to be carrying some sort of droppable payload munitions. A size 3. A size 3 bomb. Something like a size 3 bomber? Maybe? I don't know. And if I'm right, because I'm going to be right, y'all gonna do what? Because the reason why I know this is because they've already showed it to us. Citizen Con. The only ships that has not been released for sale from the Citizen Con ships is the bomber. We have the hover quad, which was one of the ones. We have the Spartan, which was the other one, and we have the Odyssey. All three of those ships were sold. The Odyssey won the vote. The only thing we don't have is the bomber, which was on that list. And when is that going to be sold? Probably around Invictus, when they're selling military ships. Like,
it was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
You don't have to be a psychic to know that that's the next one. Now, I couldn't tell you if that's going to be a Crusader ship, an Anvil ship, an Aegis ship. I couldn't tell you exactly what the manufacturer is, but I can tell you that it'll be some sort of Delta Wing shaped with the size 3 bombs, because they also recently made size 3 bombs. Why do you think they're doing cluster bomb testing? Question, do I have to believe in the concept of battle trolley? I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the battle trolley in your heart, all right? I want the Liberator. Yes, I want that too. Battle cruisers and destroyers. We already have a destroyer. It's called the Javelin. For battle cruisers, I think we may have them, but will never be player owned. I think we're more likely to have a different destroyer, which is more gun based, or like a destroyer escort or a light cruiser, something like that. Drake Skydropper. I do think there's still room for an Anvil capital ship somewhere. And knowing Anvil, it's going to be up armored, have way too many guns, and yeah, that's about it. It's just a giant flying gun platform with armor. I could see a light cruiser being smaller than a Javelin, for instance. Let's see if there's any other questions. I like the idea of changing the Cuddy series so that you could be one ship, but you could modify it into the red, blue, steel, etc. I like that too. I have no idea about the refinery. I want more alien cargo ships. Yes. Devarin freighter would be interesting. Yeah. Xenothreat Whole Sea, just toss the cargo into the grid. Yeah. Players can't handle the D. Whole Sea can physically moving cargo for quanta system. Yeah, I think you need the that whole thing set up. Persistence and quanta to set up for the Whole Sea to work better. Question, who made the trolley? Argo, Greycat? The battle trolley? The battle trolley is definitely Drake. The regular trolley would probably be Argo. Tavaran medium ships based on lore. There is a 2-seater Tavaran ship, which was like kind of a medium fighter. I'd love to see a medium Tavaran ship, but I doubt we'll see it. Specifically, there was it's called the Scout, I think. Not a Scout. I can't remember what it's called. There's a name for it. A 2-seater Tavaran ship, which was used by the Tavaran, which was specifically mimicked by Case when he made the Hurricane, which was the prototype for Anvil, for all Anvil ships. Like, that's the reason why the Hurricane has 2 seats, is that it's literally a mirror of the Tavaran design. Except for what the Tavaran design had was the secondary seat was a defense, like, shield system that they could rotate, whereas with humans it was a gun platform to break those. We've been waiting for the Anvil capture for a while now. Yes. When do ships usually sell with lifetime insurance? When they first are released in concept, and sometimes if they're released in initial waves, like when they first released into the game. But usually concept is when you get LTI. Every so often you can get them at like a sale events, but yeah, that's about it. All right, y'all, I'm fading fast. I'm going to get some sleep. So, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you all for hanging out with us here tonight at the Astro Pub. If you enjoyed this, please hit that follow button if you're on Twitch. For those of you on Twitch, I have a YouTube, youtube.com/theastropub. Those of you on YouTube, I stream 4 nights a week, Thursday and Fridays at about 8 p.m. Central, which is about 9 p.m. Eastern, and Saturdays and Sundays at about noon Central, which is about 1 p.m. Eastern. I do gameplay on Fridays and Sundays, and I do Captain's Table on Saturdays. I also do an entire tabletop RPG thing I have been doing on Saturdays for years now called The Spice Must Roll, where I bring people from friends of mine and other people to come in and play tabletop RPGs set in things like the Expanse universe, the Star Trek universe, and the Star Wars universe, and possibly more in the future. So come join us on that on Saturday mornings. Yeah, I've got a merch store. It's in the description below. I'm going to start adding more stuff to it in the near future. I want to try to do a Lord of Lore t-shirt. We'll see if I can do that. Kind of mimicking the Lord of War shirt posters, which had like, what's his name? Nicolas Cage, but like half his face is made up of bullets. I don't know how I can do half my face made up of like books, maybe. I don't know. You've never been invited? Clearly not a friend? No, you're not. No, it's just because we've had full casts, so. Yeah. Thank you all for hanging out with us. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.
Shit, I'm out.